Well, good morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome into a brand new week, brand new day here on Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Sun shining outside. Seems like it's going to be a start of a good week here, Barry.
Yep, it's going to be the start of a good week. It was a very quick weekend. Didn't it feel like, we just seems like we said goodbye from Stivers, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and here we are again. It's zipped in.
It really has. It's just zipped on by, and you've got us again. And we appreciate everybody getting in on the chat line early today. River Region Straw chat line. You can get in on the conversation as we get things rolling here this morning. And maybe the weekend went so fast, Barry, because after Thursday night, first round of the NFL draft, I didn't really pay much more attention to it because I got sick and tired of people kicking and screaming and moaning and complaining. How come nobody's picking Shedeur Sanders?
I was the only thing that I paid attention to the first round, and John did too, because that's show content and you want to see, what happened early. You kind of like to see what happened to the people on the teams that you follow and all that. But my gosh, it was all about Shedeur Sanders on social media, which is basically all that I checked after the weekend began. The number 2 pick overall from Colorado, Travis Hunter, and everybody thought that later on in the first round, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, Deion's son, would get picked, and he didn't. And we talked about that on Friday. Only 2 quarterbacks picked in the first round. Yeah. Well, then he didn't get picked in the second round. Then he didn't get picked, which was day one. Then he didn't get picked in the third round. And everybody's like, whoa, what in the world's going on? Then he didn't get picked in the fourth round either. And that's when people started really losing their minds. I saw lots of different things on social media saying that the NFL is colluding against Shedeur. They're all agreeing with each other. Hey, look, I won't draft Shedeur Sanders if you guys won't, and we'll just send a message, whatever that message may be, because of racism, because he's a black quarterback, which look around in the NFL. And not just about the makeup of black quarterbacks. I'm not necessarily going to go. There are a lot of them, including the quarterback of the Super Bowl champion. But do you think, knowing what you know about the NFL, knowing what I know about the NFL, knowing what all of our experts we have know, I don't care if there was a Martian coming up, hitting the earth for the first time, who could throw 40-yard outs like a certain sports radio talk show personality at the Capital City Combine, quick, fat. They draft him. You think they're not going to draft Shedeur Sanders because of racism? I do think this. Here's what I think. I think it was intangibles, which was a big thing. I understand that he didn't necessarily interview well. He didn't exactly show the commitment to getting better and the interest in the work that'll be involved and the chemistry that he'll be required to form with his teammates, or the leadership that's required at the quarterback position. That plus the
God-given talent.
Yeah.
His father's been his head coach his entire life. Probably hadn't had to work on things like that. Probably hasn't had a lot of people to answer to. So, yeah, I could see the intangibles, maybe, I don't know, little attitude, who knows. We talked about it last week about how some of these players have not interviewed well, not saying Shedeur fits into this category, but some of them had the attitude of, wait a minute, I'm making more money than you are. You're trying to tell me
right now
what I need to be doing? But I did find it disturbing that media members all across the gamut seem to be gravitating to one thing. Why are they not drafting Shedeur Sanders? I am thoroughly disgusted that the NFL has treated this young man this way. This is a disgrace. I cannot believe it. White, black, yellow, green, it didn't matter. They were all saying the same thing.
Yep.
And they're trying to lead me to believe that every team, all 32 of them, got together and said, hey, do not draft Shedeur Sanders. Barry, that's like people saying the NFL officials are rigged. They have rigged the games. You're telling me all 32 teams are going to keep their mouth shut since the beginning of the NFL?
Yeah.
Man, don't get this out, but we're rigging these games. We want certain teams to win. Really? And you think all 32 teams got together and said, do not draft this guy? Come on.
I did hear this. Our buddy Theotis, who goes by Getty Lee, he says this about why Shedeur Sanders, Colorado quarterback, lasted until the 6th pick of the 5th round, taken by the Browns.
To the Cleveland Browns.
To the Browns. Let me check. It's his, I think it's his 6th post already today. And he says, no one wants the drama. Same as with Cam. Theotis, they drafted Cam number 1.
Huh.
They drafted Cam before anybody else got drafted. Yeah, the drama, if it was drama, then
if he could play, they take the drama.
That's exactly right. I mean Cam is not a good comp on that one.
They let Cam dress up like a woman, and they don't care as long as he can play.
So
doesn't matter.
Just because of that alone, Theotis, I think that blows out of the water any concern about drama or anything like that. As far as, his social media or his dad or anything, I don't know. Oh, Theotis says he's talking about re-signing Cam now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Cam's shell of the player he was before.
Fifth round of the Cleveland Browns is where Shedeur Sanders landed.
Pick number... Well, I don't have it. Yeah, pick number 6 of the 5th round. Yes.
Okay. In an earlier round, Cleveland drafted a quarterback. So they got 2 quarterbacks on their roster. But I'm more concerned about where Shedeur was picked.
Yeah.
Is he going to make more money staying in college as a 5th round pick? How much money is he going to make? I'm thinking I'm going back to Colorado and getting that sweet NIL deal. And I'm telling the Browns, thanks, but no thanks. Why would you go into the NFL as a 5th round pick when you can make more money in college?
Now, and that's a heck of a point. One that I admit I haven't thought of before. But now, isn't it too late? I mean, you can't.
Has he signed with an agent?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's gone through the whole thing. You can't go through the draft. You can check your draft status and see where it might have you and all of that, and then decide, I'm not going to do it. You can do that. But to go through and actually get drafted, I know
Bo didn't want to go to the Tampa Bay Bucks, and Eli Manning didn't want to go to San Diego, but they ended up with another team in the NFL.
Same thing with Elway.
This is prior to NIL and transfers and all this other crazy stuff we got going on.
Yeah.
And Barry, there seems to be a lot of lawsuits out there. Hey, do it because of this and because of that. I want to play another year. And I was Division II and 1AA and COVID and blah, blah, blah.
JUCO, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
You can't go through all that and say, I'm going to go back to college, but I'm sure they might try. I was thinking about that. I don't know what Shedeur was making at Colorado or what he could have made if he had elected to stay one more year as the guy. Right.
But I got to think he'd be making more than a 5th rounder for the Cleveland Browns.
Diane on Facebook, she says, why is he being ridiculed on Yellowhammer? Just hush. Hush. Hush.
We're not ridiculing him.
Hush.
Did you hear what I had to say, Diane? Yeah. I think these people on ESPN and the NFL Network and every other national media outlet are crazy. They
Yeah,
weren't.
leave him alone.
They weren't coming together to go, we're not going to sign this guy. I think that's ridiculous. NFL didn't get together and make some pact that they weren't going to sign this guy. Maybe he's just not good enough. Maybe there's something that sent off alarm bells, and they said, well, I don't know if we want this guy.
I know. I mean, we may have ridiculed Cam, but not Shador, and maybe, yeah. I mean, this will be hopefully a non-story after a little while, because there are many dreams that have gotten fulfilled, and there have been many great young players that have opportunities now and everything for us to talk about a 5th-round draft pick. Diane and all of you, what I think, besides, I don't think he tested, I don't think he interviewed very well and didn't demonstrate the proper. I mean, when Dion was out there and he's telling the New York Giants he ain't taking their written test because he ain't going to last until the 16th pick or the 10th pick anyway, that's one thing. But Shador Sanders doesn't have that same leverage. Well, maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because he's just not that good.
Well, what was he?
11 and 10.
11 and 10 at Colorado, something like that. I mean,
something like in league play.
19 and 20, something like that. But, I got to think that most of these guys that went in the first round had a really good feeling somebody in the first round was going to pick them.
Yeah.
Somebody. They in interviews and discussions and workouts, hey, you are our guy. And unless some team makes some trade at the last minute, which we saw in the first round to move up, move down, whatever they wanted to do,
right?
I got a feeling most of these guys have I'm going. There again, why Jalen Milroe was invited to Green Bay, I do not know. Felt that way for a year, played out. He didn't get recruited early, drafted early, but he had to sit there for 2 days and watch everybody else. There again, don't understand that either. Well, but I wonder if Shador Sanders had any indication, Barry, that, hey, now, if you're up there, we're taking you as the 6th pick in the first round. So you be ready. You hear me? Be by your phone. Don't be out in the front yard. Don't be in the bathroom like Quinshon Judkins was and his mama had to answer the phone. Be ready when you hear us. I wonder if that was the case. Did any of these NFL blowhards do enough research to go, well, we know this team, if he's there, they're taking him in the first round. Hadn't heard one of those guys say that.
Didn't that happen to Diane Keaton or somebody at the Oscars where she had to run down, or Jennifer Lawrence or somebody had to run down the thing? I was in the bathroom. No, it might have been Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know.
No, yeah, I think that was Kramer when he was sitting behind those people at the Tony Awards and went up on the stage and got a trophy.
But the so that's out of the way, just to get it out there. As of right now, this is how it shook out. Auburn did get 3 players drafted, which is maybe one more than I thought they would. I mean, 3 draft. They got a lot of guys that got signed. Jarquez Hunter went in the 4th round to the Rams. Keandre Lambert-Smith went in the 5th round to the Chargers. Jalen McLeod went in the 6th round, the rush end. He went to my Jacksonville Jaguars, who had a good draft. Meanwhile, for Alabama, it was Tyler Booker in the 1st round, Jihad Campbell in the 1st round, Milroe in the 3rd round, late in the 3rd round to the Seahawks. Tim Smith, 6th round, Malachi Moore, 4th round, Quay Robinson, 4th round, and Robbie Oots, the tight end.
Well, in the 5th round. When we get back, I want to break this down even further. You mentioned Auburn's draft. 3 players were drafted. Only 4 other teams in the SEC had fewer players than Auburn. That's a problem. Hadn't had a number 1 pick, gee whiz, probably.
All right.
10 years, maybe.
Who texted him that? There ain't no way John was looking and was tallying it up on his little legal pass.
Yeah. I've been a draft nerd over the weekend. Only 4 teams had fewer players, and there again, Auburn had a 1st rounder in
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What, a decade or more?
The point is good.
You can thank Brian Harsin and Gus Malzahn for that. But there's more to this story. It's not just all about Auburn. I know it seems to be that way a lot on this show, Barry.
It does.
But I got some more nuggets for you there as well. So, yeah, but I'm glad to see some of these Auburn players got picked, but Auburn's got to get more. Woo, man.
And no doubt. No question.
Got to have more because how do you win? Well, if you look at some of the teams that had a lot of players drafted or former players drafted, that'll explain a lot.
Another tally we're going to go over. The SEC and the Big Ten produced 58% of the NFL draft picks this year. We'll kind of break that down a little bit, too. Lots more to talk about here on the program. We are glad you're along. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Welcome back in, everybody.
Coffee on there. I was a little late coming back from my coffee stop. I noticed my machine wasn't working properly. Got to get that coffee going.
Oh, no. Wait. Whoa. Stat. Somebody, plug it in.
Yeah. Wow. What hit the breaker box over there, will you? So it's not all sunshine pumping and roses and all that good stuff
here
with that draft, Bear. I mean, I know Alabama had 17 straight years having a first rounder, and 3 people went. Was it 2 or 3 went early? Well, maybe I guess just 2.
It was 2 in the first round. Yeah.
Since Milroe didn't go till the midway through the third, something like that. 92nd pick.
Late in the third. Milroe went with the 28th pick of the third. 2 first rounders, Tyler Booker and Jihad Campbell. Booker went 12th, and Jihad went 31st overall in the first round.
7 Alabama players were drafted.
Correct.
Ties for the fewest overall selections since 2011.
Oh my gosh.
Now, how about this?
Say that again. Alabama had 7 players drafted.
Ties for the fewest selections since 5 in 2011. 2011.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's insane.
They finished tied for 4th in the SEC, which is the lowest position since 2009.
Yeah.
Tied for 6th nationally, the lowest spot since 2011. But here's where I think it's a little bit more concerning. See if these teams ring a bell. Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Oregon, and Ole Miss drafted more players, had more players drafted than Alabama.
Did you hear the tone? Did you hear the tone when he said Ole Miss? Did it feel to you, the viewer, like he was about to say Ole Miss and then spit at the side of the screen? Ole Miss. What's wrong with that? Ole Miss had a very good draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players picked for Ole Miss, and they're whistling and zippity doodah in Oxford. Woo!
Yeah.
Alabama had 7. Oh, that's the worst we've had in 14 years. Give me. There's a difference there.
Oh boy, yeah. For Ohio State had 14 picks. Wins the national title.
Yeah.
man.
Shouldn't one of those Ohio State picks also count for Ole Miss and Quinshon Judkins?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of like saying Jalen Hurts played at Alabama.
Shouldn't one of those picks that went from Ole Miss, Trey Amos, shouldn't that count for both Alabama and Louisiana Lafayette, where he also played? I don't know. It's different how you.
Did Jalen Hurts play at Alabama or Oklahoma? I mean,
he's an Oklahoma guy.
Tomato. See?
Yeah.
But Ohio State 14 wins the national championship. Texas, watch out. Been warning you guys. You let Texas in the league, they're going to start dominating. Texas, 2 years in a row, double-digit draft pick. 11 last year, 12 this year. They're in the playoffs. Oregon's in the playoffs. See the pattern here?
I do.
These teams that have all these guys drafted in the NFL draft seem to be in constant playoff teams.
Are you telling me that your research tells you consistently that the teams who have the best players have the most success? Is that a demonstrable research point that it has shown you over the years? If you have better players, you're going to have a better team. All right, well, I'll buy that.
I'm gonna read you a quote from Nick Saban. Speaking about Ohio State, that's why they won the title. They had the best players. Nick Saban got accused of that. The guy can't coach. He just got the best players. I always thought that was unfair. But point being, they always said Saban went out and got the best players. Okay, yeah, I get it. I remember being on the playground. I'll take Tom, I'll take Richie, and I'll take Ned.
You can have over there. Yeah.
Dexter, you're over here.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Who's the fat kid in the back? No.
Lumpy Rutherford.
We'd rather not. We'd rather play with one less than pick that guy.
So it's pretty easy.
I don't know. Back in the day, Saban was recruiting these guys. Does it feel different? Because Ohio State, they win the national championship with a quarterback from Kansas State, with a running back from Ole Miss, with a linebacker, with all those guys.
Yeah.
Went out and paid for. Nothing wrong with not winning Ohio State's national championship is as legitimate as anybody else's. But that's how they did it,
Well, it's those 14 other because some of those players were drafted, but it's that whole group of 14 that led them to that national title. And Georgia's dominance. I mean, you've seen that. I mean, I thought it was interesting, Barry, in talking about Georgia, hearing some of these draft guys kind of insinuated that even though Georgia's had all this talent, that maybe some of these guys just think they're a little bit bigger than the program. There again, I wonder how they interviewed, but maybe their talent overshadowed maybe some of their cockiness and attitude issues, because I did kind of pick up a theme that maybe Georgia's had more players than they need, that just are kind of more worried about themselves than the team aspect. And I know that's something a lot of programs are dealing with now because of transfers and NILs and things of that nature. But still, they're sending a lot of people to the NFL.
The SEC and the Big Ten produced 58% of the NFL draft picks this year. I mean, they had 7 rounds. More than 1 out of every 2 pick came from the Big Ten or the SEC. The SEC had 79 players drafted. The Big Ten had 71. The ACC was third with 42. The Big 12 had 31. Now, again, it feels different because if the point is that the SEC and the Big Ten get the best players, I get that. I get that. That's why they're so good. But one of the guys that was drafted by Auburn, and kind of made this point a moment ago, was Jalen McLeod, rush end. He played for 2 years at Appalachian State. Shouldn't they get some credit for that in this tally? Trey Amos played at Louisiana Lafayette before he got
I think it's where you're drafted from. It's where you last played. To me, that just makes it simple.
Well, yeah,
easy.
I like it. I think you're right. It does make it simple. That's why I'm so pleased for Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts to have taken his team to the Super Bowl.
I ain't got a problem with that. Okay. I tell you what I do have a problem with is on Monday Night Football when they're introducing themselves and they tell you that they went to Hopeful High School. I don't want to hear that. That's not where you got drafted from.
Oh, yeah.
You got drafted from the college that you left.
Tom Landry Elementary School.
I don't want to hear that. But, yeah, I think it's the last school you played. I mean, Bo Nix is a Duck. I mean, you can tell me all day about, his father played at Auburn and he was
graduated from Auburn.
Blah,
same
blah.
thing with Jalen Hurts. Has an Alabama degree.
But he last played for the Oregon Ducks.
It feels like he played just as long for the Ducks as he did for Auburn. He feels like, he graduated from Auburn. And, I remember we had the long conversations when that happened that, we both knew that he had to get someplace where he wasn't going to get the snot beat out of him and maybe improve his NFL chances.
And
he goes to Oregon, and it felt like I'm thinking, wait a minute, is Bo still playing? I thought if you graduated, you had 1 year. I think Bo played 3. No, he played a couple. Well, he did play 3, I think.
Yeah.
But would Bo Nix be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos if he had stayed at Auburn until his eligibility ran out?
He might have been in Shadour's shoes if that had happened.
He might have been at Baptist East.
Barry, I heard some show. I don't know where it was. I was surfing. I don't know. Maybe it was on satellite radio or whatnot. They were talking about Bo Nix. And somebody mentioned his Auburn transfer to Oregon and blah, blah, blah. And somebody goes, did he graduate from Auburn? And the co-host went, oh, yeah, he graduated from Oregon or Oregon instead of Auburn. I went, whoa, wait a minute. You guys are supposed to know that stuff. You're like on satellite radio. What do you mean?
He maybe got a graduate degree at Oregon. He was there for long enough, but all of that stuff was online. Not that counts any less. No offense. Hey, that's all right.
I'd say about 20% of my degree was online. The other 80, I was actually
college is still college. Do you agree with this from our buddy Robbie?
Let's see.
I think Jalen Milroe has a good fit with Seattle. Their head coach worked with Lamar Jackson when he was with Baltimore. Everyone says Milroe and Jackson have similar skill sets.
They do not. No.
I was going to give you the first shot at that one, John. I laid out for just a moment because I knew it would only take a moment.
The only Robbie. Lamar Jackson is phenomenal.
If you see Lamar
quarterback,
if he's throwing to Zay Flowers or he's throwing to Mark Andrews or any one of the receivers out there, Lamar throws a pass. Guess where you see them catch it? Right here, every time. Here's.
I see you working, Robbie.
When Jalen throws it in the NFL, it'll be here's where they catch it. Over here.
Yeah.
Up here. Down.
Well, like I think I forwarded that to some NFL GM. Said, man, look at all these great wide receivers for Alabama, but who the bleep is throwing the ball to them?
That's a real quote. So.
That is a real quote. Robbie, I see you working there, buddy. Look, Milroe, great athlete, not a great quarterback. But I heard this more than once over the draft period. Is Jalen Milroe going to be the next Taysom Hill in the NFL?
Is he going to be the next Jim Crash Jensen for the old Miami Dolphins back in the day?
I mean, could you see Milroe playing quarterback, tight end, H-back? Does Taysom Hill special teams? He doesn't play defense, does he? I don't think he plays.
He does not. No.
I could see Milroe as a Taysom Hill kind of guy. I could see that.
Put him on second and goal from the 1. See what he can do. Bob from Pike Road says, Robbie, Milroe can't read a defense. He is an unbelievable talent, but when you can't read a defense, you can't play quarterback in the NFL. So,
and that was my thing a year ago. We got into some good discussions about it. People said I was crazy. Not the first time I've heard that. And I was blown away, Barry, by, these Mel Kipers of the world that were saying at one point Milroe is going to be the number 1 pick. I'm thinking, what are these people seeing? And then when it was the Saints' first pick on Thursdays, Shador, here he goes, going to the Saints. I'm thinking, please, God, no. That's not what we need. Well, who makes Mel Kiper the genius on this? Because these guys miss, some of these other guys miss, and I'm thinking, what are NFL GMs seeing that these blowhards don't see?
Who won the draft? Gunner, I'm telling you, man, the NGS draft score rankings, the average score of their first 7 picks, the Cleveland Browns. Then the Giants, then the Seahawks. The most athletic draft classes, it's the Seahawks, and that's probably because of Jalen Milroe.
I am looking, Barry, at, Mel Kiper, because you somehow taught me how to subscribe to ESPN Plus.
Yes.
So I'm looking at it.
Which I encourage anybody to do. Cleveland
got an A+. They were the highest rated team on Kiper's board. Seattle was right behind them with just an A. So Cleveland. But Barry, I think a lot of that's butthurt because Mel was so into Shador and they got him. So did that bump him up to the A+? Did that put him at the top? Because they picked a guy that really kind of embarrassed Mel.
I don't like I said, I did not watch anything past the first day, but I was on social media, and there was one point, and I don't know what triggered it, but Shador still hadn't gotten drafted, and Kiper is on live, and he is losing his mind, screaming, not at his co-hosts, but screaming, what in the world are they doing? The NFL has been historically bad at judging quarterback talent, and they go through all the busts in the NFL, the people that were dead solid, absolutely can't miss, and never ended up making in the NFL. To me, at number one, that became personal with Mel Kiper because it made him look bad.
Yep.
He missed on that one bad. But number two, it goes to show you this about playing quarterback in the NFL. John, it ain't easy. Everybody can't do it. You can have the rocket arm, and you could have the intelligence, and you can be the biggest chemistry guy in the world, but you can fail playing in the NFL when I don't care if you play at Ohio State or Alabama or Auburn or Georgia or anywhere, and you got guys from Wyoming and Texas Tech and, some of those schools that are fantastic. The reason why a lot of quarterbacks who are thought of highly, Mel, are not successful in the NFL is because it is an incredibly hard job.
It is. And I don't see how you can predict, from college into the NFL. Some guys hadn't made it. I can give you one that played at Washington State that I thought was a shoe-in. And so did a lot of other people as well. I'm not the only one.
You weren't the only one.
I'm going to take the hit on that one. If you're curious, Mel gave the Atlanta Falcons and the Cincinnati Bengals his lowest grades. They both got a C. The Jags got a B and the Saints got a B-.
Jags got off to an A start, but
of course Cleveland, the only team with an A+, and I gotta think because a player in the 5th round was what took them over the top. Tyler Booker, Alabama's first pick, number 1 pick to the Dallas Cowboys. Saw a picture of him. Somebody gave him some Dallas Cowboy boots. So he'll be wearing his boots and his cowboy hats.
Is that a deal? Have you on your first day when you show up at the team facility after you get drafted, if you get drafted by the Cowboys, do you have to wear those cowboy boots they give you? If you go to Green Bay, you got to put on one of those wedges of cheese on your head.
Ride a bicycle.
You got to do that.
Yep, Bob from Pike Roads chimed in today. Glad to see Bob in on the conversation. Robbie's up early today. Bill from Baltimore's in. Theodos, we've mentioned his takes today as well. Joe chiming in this morning. John says about my glasses, I just went back to the old ones.
Yeah, these are familiar.
Yeah, I just trying to cut out on the glare, but I had to go back to the old ones today. Yep. So I appreciate you noticing that.
So we've got lots still to come. We are 30-something minutes into our opening hour of our live show of the week in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range, 400 yards in diameter. Capitol Hill offers a fully stocked pro shop with the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill for tee times and more information.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Okay, Bear, back at it here about 22 minutes to the top of the hour. I got a message for you from our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market. Our man Range Pro, when he handed me my 2 grilled grouper po' boys on Saturday, said, make sure you tell B. McKnight how good these were. I said, you can count on it. Took a picture of it. Barry, it was just phenomenal. The grilled grouper po' boy, go with what you want. If you like oysters, shrimp, whatever. It doesn't matter. Amazing. I'm just telling you what my favorite is.
I have to ask. I hope you don't mind me asking because I know you and I know those grouper po' boys. You bought one for you and for somebody else. This time, let me clarify. Both of them weren't for you, although it wouldn't surprise me if they were.
They were not. Because it's a big portion. I'm telling you, you get a lot of po' boy. You really do. It's a lot of food. So the little lady ate one half of one, and then I took my mother the other half, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. Enjoyed that, but the sides.
You give somebody half your grouper po' boy from Destin Connection Seafood Market. That's love right there. If you split one with somebody,
just to be tell you the whole story. I ate all of mine.
Oh, I no doubt.
They split the other one.
For the 137th consecutive time, John ate all of his.
So, but man, the coleslaw berry, phenomenal. The fried okra, unbelievable. Those are my two favorite sides. But I'm telling you, go by there, call ahead, 288-4272, pull up to the window. He'll have it ready for you. And we thought about it Saturday, and that's the first thing Range Pro pulled that window up and says, make sure you tell B. McKnight how good this was. I said, you can count on it. First thing, we'll do it. Awesome.
Question here. Quick question.
Yep.
Do they have seating at Destin Connection?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
There have been many times when I've gone in and said, David, hook me up with whatever, and go over there, eat it, hit the road again. It's very convenient to do that. That's a good question. Yep.
Yes, you certainly can, Theotis. I like Barry. So it's not all doom and gloom for Alabama. We went through, they dropped a number of drafts.
Despite the 7 draft picks, all is not lost. Okay, thank you.
All is not lost. I did see a shimmer of light over the weekend. Alabama, the only school in the SEC that did not have a scholarship athlete, football player in particular, hit the transfer portal. Only school in the league. Every school had at least one scholarship player hit the transfer portal this spring. Alabama, the only school that didn't. What does that say about Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah. And the operative words there are this spring. They've had people leave in the transfer portal after the season, and the reason why, more than anything else, because they weren't playing. They weren't playing. You get guys that leave after the spring, and a lot of those are because A, you're not going to play the upcoming year, and B, you're getting maybe tampered with just a little bit from somebody else, and they are they're leaving for the money. There ain't no reason. I don't care what Greg Burns says. I don't care what he says. There is no reason in the world why Alabama should lose a frontline player to somebody else because of money, if they really want him. Now, they may lose somebody to somebody else and say, we didn't have many plans for you anyway. Or, yeah, we kind of like you, but we don't like you for that much. But even that didn't happen for Alabama. Mm-hmm. What that means more than anything else is that they really liked the players they had in spring. They really liked the people who stayed through the offseason workouts. They really liked what they saw in spring. They took care of them, if you know what I mean. And that's who they're standing pat with. I don't know that, according to John, and I haven't done the research, I don't know that anybody else has done that. What that tells me more than anything else is that it seems like they're pretty happy with the way things are in terms of personnel at Alabama. They like who they have.
I think so. It seems to me the same case, and looks like they feel like they've got some depth in some positions in some areas of need. I mean, obviously, defensive linemen are always an area you got to go after. A tight end, certainly, as well. And I know they've done some work there with a couple of tight ends transferring in to maybe help out at that position. But, they're not all bad when you can keep your roster together. No scholarship player hitting the transfer portal. But, as I said earlier, Barry, you talk about Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Oregon, even Ole Miss. And then you talk about Alabama's drought. People go, drought? What do you mean drought?
Only 7 this year. Only 7 players. Meanwhile, Ole Miss had 8, and they're whistling zippity-doo-dah down to I-22. And
10 wins, 8 players. But problem, Barry, is Bama fans thinking we get that natty drought. We're going through a natty drought period. It's been a while. And
5 years. Okay.
Yeah. And they just don't like that.
Oh, well, there's no question about that.
And the postseason drought. Look, Bama fan has zero interest with the Capital One Bowl, evidenced by the one they played in January. So
the players
yeah,
didn't have any interest in it.
no, and the fans don't either. So if it's playoff or bust, so yeah, you're asking a lot. Wait a minute, man. There's it's only 12 teams to make the playoff. I mean, really? Yeah, really. And that's what they expect. And they don't want to hear NIL issues. And I hear Alabama's okay. They're fine in the NIL. They're not up there with Texas Tech either, for that matter. But they're okay. They're fine. Hey, can it sustain? That I don't know. I'm not so sure about that.
Well,
but they're going to be good. So, but it is playoff or bust. There's just no two ways about it.
I can't disagree with you. I don't know that it's all that healthy, but I can't disagree with you about it. Here's some corollary stuff around it, and we'll move on. The draft is the draft, and we enjoy it.
Is this a draft? Because they have one more thing about the draft.
Okay, all right.
If we go into a different subject.
Okay.
You had mentioned earlier about how many players were selected from the Big Ten and the SEC. I think those two conferences led the number of draft picks in the draft.
79 from the SEC, 71 from the Big Ten. That's 58% of every player drafted got drafted from those two conferences.
That's why the networks want those two teams on TV every week in the regular season. That's why there's some talk about maybe a super conference between those two leagues. Big boys, if you will. With the most players coming from those two leagues going to the NFL draft, perceived to be the best college football players in the country, that's what they want. But those teams, half those teams aren't any good. Don't matter.
See, that's what drives me crazy, because that's un-American. That's not, I don't care about the results. I don't care about the talent or the production or anything. Give me that salesman who's wearing the Armani suit. Give me the salesman with the pinky ring. Give me the guy who's out there schmoozing everybody and ringing up big numbers on the expense account. That's what I want. Forget about that nerd knocker over. I can't believe I just used that, because that's one of Longshore's absolute linchpins that I'd never heard of in my life until I met him. That geek over there with the pencil protector and the halitosis, and he's out there selling things all over the place. But I don't want, that guy, I mean, he smells, and those clothes, and that's what I don't get. John loves the idea of the panache and the cachet. Rather than the results. Now, a lot of times in college football, the teams that have the panache and the cachet are really good, but there are some, like back in the day when John used Notre Dame, who's good now, and I love their coach. As a litmus test, as a barometer towards the relevance of the Auburn football program, because John, for years, was saying, Auburn, they luck into a half a natty in 57. They had a great player in 2010 and, something about $180,000.
How have they fallen so far so fast?
But
I think I came up with that one.
How good really is Auburn? I mean, really?
Well, unfortunately,
they've never played Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Auburn's
and I'm
got
like,
this.
So what?
Auburn's got this stigma that they've just, and it's not their fault, but they're in a little community in East Alabama, and they've got this big brother here they got to deal with every day. So it's kind of hard for them to break out and be relevant nationally, consistently. They'll have their little moments when Cam shows up or Bo wins the Heisman or whatever, but it's those down years that have really hurt them. And unfortunately, once again, life's not fair. Real world problems, real world issues. It doesn't matter if Notre Dame's not any good. The television ratings say they are, because America wants to watch the Golden Domers. Yeah, but they're 5-5. So what? Still want to watch them. Still want to see what the Golden Domers are going to do against Southern Cal in the Coliseum in the last game of the season.
They do have a national following. There's a lot of Catholics who follow them just for that reason. they're kind of an appeal throughout the country. I get that. But I think John goes a little overboard when he sits there and he says, I remember Notre Dame, Alabama.
Era Parsegian. Oh, wow. Man.
Spreading the sidelines.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the touchdown Jesus, the Golden Dome. And I have to wait for a little while. You have to go to break sometimes so John can return out of his reverie there. And I'm thinking,
and I got to,
is he okay? Do I need to?
You can't have it all, Barry. I get that. I mean, yes, when I get rid of Minnesota and Purdue,
Northwestern,
yeah, but you just can't. Kind of like Mississippi State and Vandy, you just can't do it. So you got to let them, ride the coattails and, be a part of the train that's heading down the track. I get it. One of those cars in a long line of dominant teams. But, yeah, I mean, I think Big Ten, SEC, the most players are drafted from those two leagues. Those are the two leagues that garner the highest TV ratings. They're making the most money. That's what the networks want. You've heard this sermon before. I mean,
yes.
You know where I stand here.
I do. This from a couple from Robbie. Let me go back to back on Robbie.
And real quick on Bob from Pike Road. I'm with you, Bob. I do think Alabama will continue their streak of number one draft picks next year to 18. I can already think of a couple that will fit that slot.
Now, these are not back-to-back from our River Region Straw chat line. Call Kenny 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and seasoned firewood needs. Robbie sends this. Bob from Pike Road needs to take his crimson-colored glasses off.
Whoa.
All right. Now, he says that. And, okay. All right. But then later on, he says this. Not a fan of what you said about Bama, John. Everyone knew that last year was a transition year. Some Bama fans are more realistic than you think.
Wow.
Huh. So on one, he says Bob's got his crimson-colored glasses on. On the other, everyone knew last year was a transition year. I don't like what you said about Bama, John.
Was that today in the first 52 minutes or something I said about Bama over the last, I don't know, several weeks or months?
You were talking about Bama fans and, the idea that it has to be a championship or bust, and which is as true as the truest truism that was ever truthed.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah, look, Robbie, I tried to tell you. Capital One Bowl, New Year's Day at 11 o'clock? No. Bama fan has zero interest in that.
Yeah.
Zero.
A scolding for John from Robbie. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, let's take a break. Coming up on the top of the hour.
Yeah, the Moneyline magician.
Going to join us when Longshore and McKnight continues, presented by Bud Light. Here we are at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Our friend, everybody's friend, Mary Ann is with us. Mary Ann, April is a special month, even more special at Marguerite's.
Definitely. Okay, so it's the first of the month, Barry. What's that birthstone?
It's a diamond, right?
Yes. Winner. It's easy to remember because with April comes baseball season, baseball diamond. We've got diamond month here at Marguerite's, and it is a great time. We are having diamond month to really emphasize all the great diamonds we have in stock. We're doing crazy specials on natural as well as lab created diamonds with solitaire specials starting out at, this is crazy to believe, $500 for a lab created diamond solitaire. That's insane. Like a 1 carat inner ring. We have diamond studs, diamond tennis necklaces, tennis bracelets. Everything with our diamonds are going to be unmatched, unparalleled prices. And loose stones, again, maybe because it is baseball season and you're watching all of those games that you need to give a little extra something, or that girlfriend that you've been dating for a while needs to get an engagement ring. Well, now is definitely the time to do it because our loose diamonds are on special.
Yeah, if you are thinking about an engagement, here's a pro tip. That may be Marianne's favorite thing to do at Marguerite's is to help the guys make sure their odds are good with a beautiful diamond for that loved one that they're going to pop the question to, right?
Most definitely. It's great to help. We love helping you. The hardest thing you have to do is walk through the door. Next thing, I mean, honestly, you just say, I need to get engaged. Or between the two of us or the rest of these listeners, I can tell when a guy walks through. They kind of just have that look and they're just walking slow and looking around. And I'm like, need an engagement ring? And they just shake their head. I take it from there. Just get some ideas. White gold, yellow gold, diamonds. We have them. Guys, it's not hard. Honestly, just walk through the door. We can help you.
Yeah, it's not intimidating at all. They have people who would love to help, especially in Diamond Month in April in Marguerite. Yes. Marianne, as always, it's so great to talk with you. What are the hours of operation?
Sure. We're open 7 days a week in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center, 10 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry, Pepper Tree Center, next to Chappie's Deli, 8163 Vaughn Road in Montgomery. Thanks very much, Marianne. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
Okay, we're about 5 minutes from the top of the hour, actually 4 to the top of the hour here today. Josh Harris, the Moneyline magician, going to join us at the top of the next hour. I see Dennis Mitchell is up with us today as well, talking about Sherman Sanders going to Cleveland there, Barry.
Who?
Yeah.
Sherman Sanders. Oh, yeah. Sherman, I didn't see that. Sherman Sanders going to Cleveland Browns. Call it time. Sometimes you need to keep your mouth and at least have a good work ethic. I don't have anything against Shador. I really don't. It's a different world. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Shador has been encouraged to build his brand. So has Shiloh, the other brother, who's not as talented. And doing that by Instagram, social media. One of the telling social media clips that people are using as an example of the difference, and maybe Gurn might have that coming up on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel, was before the combine when Shador Sanders was there for the combine. I don't think he was throwing in there, but he was there. And Cam Ward, who ended up being the number one pick. Mm-hmm. And they were there beforehand together, on the field at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And some cameras were rolling, and Shador had his phone out. He said, "Come on, Cam, let's drop a song. Let's drop a song for the people. I'll put it on the gram and all this kind of stuff." And Cam Ward looked at him. He said, "I'm a football player."
Ooh.
And he said, "No, man, don't you have any other hobbies?" And Cam says, "No, I play football." He says something along the lines of, if Wikipedia ever does a thing on me, it'll say Cam Ward, football player. That's all I'm interested in. And Shador's got his phone up, and he's ready. He said, "Oh,
yeah, man.
All right." People will look at that, and people have said that. They said, that's the difference right there.
I get it.
That's the difference between a number one overall draft pick and a guy that dropped like a shot. I don't know if it's legit or not, but it's out there.
Barry, I'll be interested to see in the coming days and weeks if there's this in-depth expose piece on The Athletic or ESPN.com, wherever, about what really went on. Yeah, what really went on during this 3-day period. A guy that was projected to be a first rounder by a lot of these so-called experts that I think got their feelings hurt when the NFL didn't play the game that they thought they should. But what were the factors that kept Shador from being drafted in the first round? I mean, okay, he's a great athlete, but is he good enough to be a first round draft pick quarterback in the NFL? I think there's a question there. Obviously there's been a lot of talk about the way he interviewed and some of his workouts and things of that nature. Maybe, not taking it as seriously as he needed to and just thought it was just a, easy process that he was just going to waltz into because of the success he had in college and high school and everywhere else. I'm just going to naturally transition into the next level with no bump in the road at all?
There is such a fine line in the NFL between good player and a bad player. There is an even finer line for a quarterback. John, they look at everything when you're a quarterback, because that's the marquee position. That's the one that gets the most money and all that kind of stuff. They're looking at everything. And I'm telling you, you think we have skeletons in the closet. If you and I ever ran for political office, that ain't nothing compared to what an NFL, they're talking to your elementary school teachers. And little Johnny, sometimes he would talk without permission. Strike one against Longshore. Stuff like that. Sure. They do not like to take chances. And Shedeur, he looked like a guy that was, maybe there would be some things crop up that would be a distraction towards his absolute main and only goal, and that was to be. So
these so-called experts, do they not look at that? Is it just athletic ability they're looking at? I kind of wonder. And as I say that, I kind of think maybe that is, because all they ever talk about are 40 times, how much weight he can lift, how high he can jump, how many 40-yard outs he completed between the numbers. But you never hear these guys talking about character and interview skills and being a team leader and all that type of stuff. What was he like? Can he really make this step, or was he kind of pampered through his high school and college career?
Where did he sit in class? Was he in the back row corner? Was he engaged? I'm not kidding. That's a thing.
I would have gotten very high marks in that category, Barry, because I felt like even though I might not know all of the lesson plans, I knew if I sat as close to the teacher as I could, that had to be in my favor.
She kept saying, why is he still smiling at me? Do you get the sense that Josh Harris was the guy at the front, sitting up straight, shirt tucked in, all of his pencils aligned in a row at the top of his desk?
Well, Barry, I got to say he aced his statistics class, because if he's known as the Moneyline manager, he's got to know what the stats are.
Yep. Our Moneyline magician, Josh Harris, joins us here. Like it. What is that?
Nah, hitting the Shedeur. Now he doesn't have a watch on anymore. It's just one of these rubber band things.
Yeah, I got
his lesson.
So you got some baseball gear and Masters gear on today.
I got dressed quick.
He hadn't been up long, ladies and gentlemen.
No, we had a meeting, but we got to keep the camera off for the first meeting. But now we're back. We're getting
awesome.
Into it.
Josh, what is your take on the NFL draft? Just take it in a general sense to start it off, just wherever you want to go. What's your overarching thoughts about the draft and the way it happened?
So many good quarterbacks were taken last year, so I think that's why we didn't see as many this year. Shedeur was an awesome little soap opera to watch throughout the draft. Milroe going for Shedeur was awesome. Love seeing Jalen. I think the hype on Jalen is actually way more up now that he's in the NFL than towards the end of his college career. I think people are a lot more interested in his athleticism now that he's actually on a team, which I thought was pretty interesting. And maybe that's just because I'm Googling Jalen more than anyone else while I've seen that.
Do you think he'll be a player? Do you think he'll be a factor in the NFL?
Somewhere. If he can, he's got everything but accuracy, but he's got the head on his shoulders, right? He's got a good head on his shoulders. I would like to see him prove that he can bounce back, right? Because he's good when he's going good, but when he starts playing bad, you don't see Milroe with the bounce back, right? Milroe starts playing bad, and then all of a sudden he turns it around in the fourth quarter, which is what you see a lot of those quarterbacks that do have a good head on their shoulders. Like Brady might not play good the whole game, but if there's a fourth quarter drive and you need a touchdown, Brady's still locked in the fourth quarter. And so I think that's what why Shedeur dropped so much, was that exactly what you all were just saying before, is that the athleticism may or may not be there. There's a thin gap of good, great, excellent, right? But what keeps those quarterbacks that are excellent coming back is the ability to forget when they made a mistake, keep a solid head on their shoulders. And you didn't see Brady walking in the 6th round with an entourage, right? You're going to have – someone said it perfectly to me. They said, do you really want your backup quarterback coming, landing on a helicopter with a limo pulling up at the first practice with an entourage? Probably not.
Probably not.
But it was one of the most entertaining drafts.
I would say that. I'm with you there. Could you see Jalen Milroe in the Taysom Hill role for the Seahawks, similar to what the Saints do with Hill?
Yeah, I think he could do that to start. If Taysom Hill can do it, Milroe can do it, right? I mean, the guys, he can play, he can be a factor. It's just how big of a factor is he going to be, right? Is he going to end up being an every down quarterback, or is he going to be a utility player like Taysom Hill, right? I don't know. I think in the beginning he's going to start off as the utility player, but if he can get his accuracy under control, right, a little bit of decision making, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's got the athletic talent, he can be there.
I notice on your clothing you've got the Braves.
I noticed that too.
I hate it that the Braves lost yesterday. What do they won? 6 out of their last 8. They give up a 4-homer game to Suarez the other day, but still won the game. Last player in Major League history to hit 4 home runs in a game and lose. The only other player, Bob Horner.
Really? Played third base.
Bob Horner hit 4 home runs. I think it was 1977 against the Montreal Expos, and they lost. I know that because my Troy broadcast partner, Jerry Miller, was at that game. But the Braves have won it. Your thoughts about the current?
Quickly, Barry, that 4 home runs in a game, I think I heard yesterday it's only happened 19 times in Major League Baseball.
Yes, there have been fewer 4 home run games than there have been perfect games, just to let you know.
Wow.
How rare.
How about that little baseball nugget for you out there,
Bo? That. I'm going to be using that one today.
There you
go. The Braves are on the up and up. I think they're –
oh, here we go. Oh.
They are. They are. We're starting to move up. We would be more – we're on – what are we, 7.5 back now, which is – I think more than we were when I predicted that we were going to win the series, but win the NL East. But we are playing much better, right? And the Mets will Met. We know that they'll choke. And the problem that I see though is the Braves did nothing in the offseason for this. Did nothing to go get relievers. Did nothing to get a closer.
Well, their big left fielders now out for 60 games or whatever it is.
That's not why we're losing. We're losing because we're blowing games in the
Truth.
Yeah. We didn't do that in the offseason in golf. And baseball is a chess match, right? That the offseason is key. So you're going to see us hurt until we go get a reliever. We need to go do it.
Well, they've got some good news. They got the Rockies coming up for the next series. So, I mean, even though the Braves have been on the road a lot, I don't know who does the scheduling. Seems like they've been on the road for every series they've played. They got Colorado. Comes at a good time. I think Colorado's won 4 games this year or something. It's ridiculous.
Not many.
As long as the oil doesn't get hot, we're fine. That's all you got to worry about with the Rockies.
So, but I think the Braves are now not solely in last place. I think they're tied, but maybe the Mets or somebody in the NL East. But okay,
number 1, so we're probably back there with the fish.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, that's about right. But am I going to? Is that what I'm going to start hearing here? Well, we're getting better. Things are looking better. Maybe I've had my little moment in the sun with the Braves kind of waddling around at the bottom, and maybe it's coming back to get me. Maybe I'm going to see a resurgence from the Braves and have to put up with that for the next 6 months.
When do we ever actually finish at the bottom of the division? I mean, never. We're never. Knock on wood, but it's very early. There's 162 games. We're hurt. We're getting healthier. Go get a reliever, and we're good.
All right.
I ride by construction sites sometimes, and sometimes they put a little sign up there that says accident free for 93 straight days. And I'm thinking, well, that's what you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is what, according to Josh Harris, our Moneyline magician, should have on a big sign draped on a mural outside of Truist Park. We haven't finished last in the division since, and then, keep a running. Hey, at least we're not finishing last.
We have gotten our hopes up for our fans 25 years in a row.
Don't get John started on this.
Oh, believe me. Now, our JD, our two-time caller of the year, says the Braves just picked up Ian Anderson. I thought that guy was a field goal kicker in the NFL.
I thought he was the lead singer for Yes.
Okay, the Braves do pick up Ian Anderson. Okay. Look at the
that's
chat.
That's what JD says. I mean, I'm asking y'all. Believe me. I don't know.
He's active. So they put him on the active roster. So they must have listened to him. They must have just signed him because I know all the Braves information.
I think that was Morton Anderson I was confused with.
You're right. I get him mixed up with Gary Anderson.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
So, Josh, let me ask you this. Should there be any concern in the Bama Nation that they don't have as many players drafted in the first round and the NFL draft in total as some of these other teams like Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Oregon, and Ole Miss? Ooh.
Ole Miss. Huh.
It is. It is a little concerning. It is, 17 years in a row, first round draft picks, but also you're seeing, I think it comes with just a change in the NCAA, being able to pay players. We're not seeing people, as many top-notch players go to Alabama because it's more even. It's spread out. You can pay these top-notch players to go other places. They're not just coming to play for Saban and advance their career, become better men. They're there to make money, and then they're there to go to the NFL. So I think you're going to see it even out more. You're not going to see as much dominance in the NFL because if you look at how many players in the NFL from Alabama, it is outrageous. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's just one after another, and to keep that up with the NIL and how things are progressing, where it sounds like they might start letting the university actually pay players.
Right.
They need to sign these players to a contract in the NCAA so they can't just come and go. And then it's an interesting thing. You saw Quinn Ewers. I kept seeing people say, why did Quinn Ewers not just transfer from Texas somewhere else and go be the highest paid player in college football this coming up year instead of going to the NFL? He could have made more money in college football than in the NFL this year.
Yeah, we mentioned that about Shador. I mean, if he knew he was going to be a fifth-round pick, he could have made more money staying in school.
Right. So it is going to be interesting to see if people will stay longer because, I mean, Quinn Ewers might not play a snap in the NFL, but he could have made another $4, $5, $6, $7 million this year. I mean, you got Carson Beck making what, $4.1 million this year?
Yeah.
And he was, as you saw Lane Kiffin say, did you see him play against us? Right? He was not impressive. Followed his girlfriend to Miami, then got dumped. I mean, come on.
Wow. It's really, man.
That point that Josh brings up is you're also seeing that in college basketball. Guys, if they're a tweener or, late second round projected, something like that, they would much rather go somewhere, make $2 million. I don't know what the kid at Texas Tech is making, but it's around Obi Toppin. He's making like $4 million. Or do you want to go play in the G League in Grand Rapids, Michigan for a year or something like that? They don't want to. They're making business decisions to stay in college, Josh.
It's interesting, right? And then also if you don't start letting these players sign a contract and have to stay at a college,
commit, yes,
then they're going to be incentivized to leave every year because somebody is going to pay them to leave more than the college will probably pay them to stay, unless you're Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
Everything we can.
And,
Well, speaking
and a
of
lot
that,
of times
Josh,
that'll be late in the process. A lot of times that's after spring where you won't really have a chance to replace a player of the caliber that you're losing. So it's
you know, Josh, what do you make of, speaking of Ryan Williams, Alabama, the only school in the SEC that did not have a scholarship player hit the portal in the spring?
I saw that yesterday, and that is very hopeful to make you feel like coaches got control of the locker room. The culture is changing, and in today's age, early age, right? You're starting to see in the NIL, you generally don't see that type of commitment early on. Like that is not what I would imagine would have happened at any school, right? It's everybody stays. So I really want to know what that is every coach in the world is probably thinking, what is this guy doing?
Well,
how is he keeping these players here? Because even the best leave because there's more money, there's more opportunity. So I'm interested to see I want to see how it plays out, obviously for Alabama, but just for the college football landscape, do we see Alabama have an incredible year next year because we had all these players stay? Does that make that big of a difference, or is it just go get all the talent, right? You can get all your camaraderie, you can get all your team bonding and everything done within the offseason, or is it year to year? If you have players stay, your team gets better, right? I feel like that'll be a rare one-up Alabama has this year.
And it's a two-sided coin. The players are happy with being there. And after spring, the coaches are making those commitments to those players necessary to keep them because they like what they got. I mean, they'll shop around a little bit and fill some holes largely for depth now, but they like the guys they got. They're satisfied with who they break camp after spring with, and that's also a positive sign as well.
Josh, I ran into a fan of yours a couple of weeks at a wedding reception. He told me to tell you hello. He comes up to me. I was making my way over to the bar, and
no shock there.
And he came up to me and says, "Man, I love the Moneyline Magician every Monday that you have on." I said, "Man, I appreciate that." This young man actually grew up in the house I grew up in here in Montgomery. Sam Adams told me to tell you hello.
Sam.
Yeah.
So I work, Sam and I work together at AccuShield very closely. We just started working on the same team now. It's really funny because we sound very similar. So now I tell them we're the only two people selling a new business at the company. I'm like, y'all really want these rednecks representing the entire country? Two boys from Montgomery, Alabama. We made it. Working for a technology company, selling all over the world. Look at the boys.
Here's what I get out of that story is if he grew up in the same house that John grew up in, he must not mind having all of those bronze plaques out front and all the tour buses stop in front of that house and everything. He must have been able to look past all of that.
A lot of great memories at that house, but one of the best, it was the best yard in the neighborhood to throw water balloons at cars from. It was awesome. It was the best.
I know that yard. It is a good yard during senior year, during the senior, junior, whatever class sports.
Don't give away any secrets here.
Hiding behind the bushes. Maybe balloons, not eggs by any means.
No, certainly not.
Those were the days.
Right there on the corner.
Right on the corner. That's right. That's right. That's the spot.
Our Moneyline magician, Josh Harris. Always great content. We do appreciate you. Thanks a bunch.
Good to see y'all. Have a good week.
You too, buddy. Talk to you next week. That's Josh Harris, Moneyline magician, joining us here on Longshore and McKnight. Well, Barry, I've already seen it on the River Region Straw chat line. People want to know, how'd the Phantom do? Well, you know what? We'll talk about it when we get back. And we also have a selection for today for you as well.
If what can you do about a spontaneous outpouring of concern? Oh, you got to, you still got to stay humble, but hey, you got to give the people what they want. The Phantom and his dog of the day coming up on this edition of the show in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust. Okay, 21 minutes past the hour here on this Monday. It is Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy, in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News and yellowhammernews.com. Check us out there. You can also watch the show. There's a recap of it each and every afternoon. And, of course, you can also check us out at YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Spotify, all over the place. We really appreciate it. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate that. Doesn't cost anything. You just get notifications when we've got some content that's dropping. We don't want you to miss anything.
Quick one from Tobias here. He says the NFL draft proved my point that the Bama roster wasn't as talented as fans believed. It was still pretty talented, right? I mean, for anybody out there who thought that, well, this team is really the shadow, a shell of its former self without Saban being there and all that. Well, they still had 7 players drafted, and John, they still should have had a better year than they had.
They could have had 17 drafted, but Bama fan gauges the success of their football program by, did we make the 12-team playoff? No. And look who did. That doesn't go over well. Then, I can even go a little deeper.
Other schools?
Did they make it into the national championship game? No. Did they win the national championship game? Obviously not. And I know it's a good sign that nobody entered the portal, only team in the league that didn't have a player leave that owned scholarship. I get that. That's all fine and dandy and warm and fuzzy, but you got to win. Got to win. That's it.
Make yourself feel better by saying, hey, we had 2 first-round draft picks again. It's how many years in a row now, 13, 14, some obscene number, where they've had at least 1 player drafted in the first round. If that makes you feel good, if whatever gets you through the night, that's fine. If you're sitting there saying, ooh, I can't wait to put this on the River Region Straw chat line. Hey, Barry, where did the porn star get drafted from the Aubs? Hey, I mean,
is it just
a little bit unfair, but
and he's in LA?
Gets you through the night. Hey, at least we had more players drafted than the Aubs did. Boy, if it had happened, imagine, because there is going to come a day. John told you
Really?
There
Are
will be a day when Alabama will not be the most talented team in college football every year. And Alabama will not win a national championship for 4 or 5 years in a row.
Trying to tell you.
And, you know, everybody's like, la, 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 not listening, la, 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 la. Well,
Sure.
it's here. But also, I'll go one further. There may come a day when Auburn is selected for the college football playoff and Alabama is not.
Now that
y'all, screaming and yelling like in that scene with the airplane where that topless girl goes in front of, I'm just, there may be a day.
Were there a scene of
Auburn,
some Jello wiggling before they showed that girl? I think it was like a bowl of Jello wiggling, and then they showed the girl. Yeah,
the two priests were strangling each other behind and back. You got, maybe there's going to be a day when Auburn gets a guy drafted in the first round and Alabama does not.
I know our friends like Josh, the Moneyline magician, and other people that are in his age group,
right?
Don't realize that. Don't get it. Don't want to hear it. They're thinking you guys are crazy, man. No way that's going to happen.
Sky's always been blue my whole life. Water's always been wet every time I've checked. Bama's always been super, hyper, ultra successful. That's part of the law of nature.
Period in time. Really in, I guess the 80s. And Coach Bryant stepped down, passed away 6 weeks later.
Yep.
And Alabama went through a phase where just things weren't good. That guy was at Auburn. Auburn's winning 4 SEC titles. They're beating Alabama. Alabama was just, lost. Couldn't find their way. Went through multiple coaches. Hired Gene Stallings, who opened up 0-3 as the head coach. And Bama fans going, what are we doing? Here we go again. It's never going to be like the glory days of Bear Bryant.
All of these guys, 35 years of age and older, and ladies who are listening to Story Time with Longshore here, they're like,
it's true. Look it up. This isn't a story. These are actual facts.
This is real, people.
Stallings won the Natty in 92. Won 70 games in 7 years. Technically, I don't think that's the case due to an NCAA little something, but won the games on the scoreboard. They won 70 games in 7 years. It's averaging 10 a year. So, okay, pretty good run. Only one national title, though. And then they go through another little abyss of crappy coaches, worthless hires, actual media members calling out decisions on coaches that were hired, and told the guy that when we had him on the show, Mike Price.
Average quarterbacks.
Yeah. And somebody
once again, cover corners.
A statement that I should have gotten trademarked, a phrase. You got to hand the keys over to somebody else and let him drive the train. Finally, they did it with Nick Saban. After 25 years of trying to find their way, lost in space, thinking that the ghost of Bear Bryant was going to lead them to championship after championship.
Years and years of athletic department administrators and personnel going to the coaches' offices and telling them what they needed to do because they either coached with the Bear or they played with the Bear or they were there when they won a championship. And it took a little while, but the culture soon became the athletic director would come down to Saban's office with a notepad, and Nick would say, I want this. I want this. I want this. You need to get this done there. I don't want to be bothered by this anymore and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it, coach. Got it, coach. All right. Now leave me alone. I got to go look at film.
That's exactly right.
Were a 180-degree shift in athletic administration, head coach relations.
Speaking to alumni groups and a golf tournament and a cookout and Arity's Angels, those days are over.
Done.
Not doing those anymore. And it finally took that fan base 25 years to figure it out. in some embarrassing times, some embarrassing losses, and they got it figured out. I don't think Bama fan wants to go through that again. And I know you young ones out there going, what are these people talking about? That never happened.
True.
It did
Do
happen.
your research. It's not just a Longshore story. He's spouting history to you.
And I had to endure it. Alabama endured their first losing season in over 25 years. And I was actually in school as a student when that happened in the fall of 1984. I believe they went 5-6 that year.
The best football player that year on offense was Ricky Moore, the running back,
who we faced at Jeff Davis. We played Lee of Huntsville in Huntsville on a Thursday night, and that guy ran all over us.
Good player. Nothing wrong with it. Good player. But how many people are hopping on the Crimson cruise or anything and saying, boy, I hope we have Ricky Moore on our cruise this year? Not many. Okay. So,
hey, Tobias, I would have liked to been on that wall with you when Milroe got drafted before Shador.
Yeah. Him? What? Yeah.
And Bob, I think the draft was weak, and I think somebody else brought this up as well.
Yes, Bob.
I don't think
I agree with.
I'm not sure quarterback was the greatest. Well, they told you this draft was about tight ends and running backs, which is usually not the case. I wonder about the quarterback class next year.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah, are there teams out there going, we're going to kind of act like we want this and that, and but we really are looking to next year. Our quarterback's playing college right now.
Yeah. There's some really good ones next year. Arch Manning. I don't want to go through all of them, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why Milroe went this year.
Could the Saints tank it and pick Arch Manning next year? Huh. Hometown kid?
I don't know, though. I mean, I'd like to actually see him quarterback more than 6 games in a year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what people are looking at. I mean, his last name is Manning. He's got quite the lineage. He plays at a really good program. He ticks a lot of the boxes. But people are picking him already as the odds-on favorite to be the number 1 pick in the draft next year. And I'm thinking, has anybody ever really seen him play for an extended period of time? I kind of think that would be important.
I would too. I think it'll be interesting watching him this year. All right.
Here we go. All right. Stop texting me. Holy smokes. Yeah. It's time for the Phantom's Daily Dog.
Phantom's Daily Dog.
Now, before we get started, John will release the Phantom's Daily Dog. We have to ask, Phantom, how did it go last Friday?
Oh, well, Barry, I'm glad you asked.
I have to, just to get it on the record.
Okay. Well, Friday on the show, our daily dog was the Orlando Magic catching 5 points against the Boston Celtics. I believe that game was played in Orlando.
It was.
A home dog of 5 points. Of course, Boston went in to that game leading 3 games to none.
It was 2 to none. 2 to none at that point.
So we thought, we like the home dog catching the points on Friday night. Barry, not only did they cover the spread, they won the game outright.
95-93.
Yep.
Physical game. Lots of elbows, lots of charges called, lots of, kidney shots and everything. Seemed like John's Church League for a little while there.
So this is what I say about the playoffs. Not only did I think they're playing a little harder, they're playing a little bit more physical too.
Because, and the Phantom takes this into account, the referees don't blow the whistle as much in the playoffs. The players know it, and the players will test those boundaries a little bit more.
Got to say I like it. Gotta like it. Got a double header tonight, Barry, in the NBA playoffs. Yeah. Cleveland is at Miami. They are an 8.5-point road favorite. They lead that series 3-0.
Yeah, number one overall seed in the East.
Yeah, good team. I mean, if you've been sleeping on Cleveland, you need to wake up.
No doubt.
We're going to the next game, though, Barry. 9 o'clock TNT, where Houston is at Golden State. Golden State, a 4-point favorite. The Warriors lead this series 2-1. That could really put Houston in a hole tonight, but we don't think so. We think Houston can go into Golden State and at least get the cover. So we're grabbing the 4. We're taking the Houston Rockets +4 at Golden State tonight. That is the Phantoms Daily Dog for Monday.
We'll take a break. When we come back, the Victoryland 777 Gurn Jr.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Topic wheel. Got a lot coming up. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information. Okay, about 23 minutes to the top of the hour. Before we get into the Victoryland 777 topic wheel, Barry, I don't know who Austin Cindric is of Team Penske. Their first NASCAR victory of the season yesterday at Talladega. Maybe I should follow NASCAR a little closer. I know there was a little. Yeah, Talladega yesterday.
My buddy Hunt Whetstone, Gunner, they went there now that I think about it. Yeah, they were there at Talladega. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother-in-law was there. He's a big NASCAR guy. He doesn't miss. But I don't know Austin.
This is the deal.
A little dust up between guys. They didn't like how they were drafted and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, really?
He won the Daytona 500 back in 2022. So he's an established guy and all that. He wins at Talladega after beating Ryan Preece by 0.022.
Man.
Sounds like my GPA. To the finish line yesterday at Talladega. John, when Austin Cindric was born, you and I had been on the air together for a year and a half.
Really? Man. Here's my thing, Barry. Maybe it is so popular It's so well known. People get it. I know NASCAR has a fan base that is very connected to what they do, very loyal.
Oh, yeah.
I do know the numbers have dwindled, though. The attendance isn't what it used to be. I'm not even sure what network carries NASCAR, FS1 or something, NBC Sports Channel. I don't know. But what does surprise me, Barry, is you never hear any marketing or advertising. I really did not know Talladega was coming up till I heard my brother-in-law talking about it. I went, really? I've seen zero promotion, marketing, advertising for Talladega. Maybe they don't need it. But I'm thinking back in the day, man, we were advertising it big time, billboards. It was all over the place. I don't see it.
Well, Austin Cindrich drives for Team Penske. His dad is the president of Team Penske. His name is Tim Cindrich.
Okay.
And he is the grandson of the founder of Red Roof Inn. So he's probably a pretty good friend with John Cohen. Because, they evidently, according to John, Auburn Athletics does a lot of business with Red Roof Inn.
Is he also in a bus? Does he own a bus company like Greyhound or Kelton Tours or whatever that thing is that I see
Selling
out there?
coaches? Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
All right.
Yeah. Because I know they got a bus from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I'll never let that one die. Now that was too good. That one was too good.
And I don't blame you. I don't blame you. No, well, they bust back from Columbia, South Carolina from football, and they did lose that game.
Yeah.
But they bust back from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, after winning the Super Regional against North Carolina. They scored 13 runs in the first inning. That was in 2019, and they took a bus back. I don't blame John for that. I'm not even mad that he keeps bringing that up.
But Chris DeBama jumped the route on me. I swear I was going next.
Yeah, smoothies. That's all Chris the Bammer says is smoothies.
Yeah.
Because he knows that's all it takes for John. I blame Philip Marshall for all of that.
Well, sure you do.
If Philip would just shut up about some of the little stuff that doesn't matter, then John wouldn't be fixated for years on some of the little stuff that doesn't matter.
There again, best $9.95 I spend every month.
Okay, anyway, so there's that. Anyway, again, the value is of the last couple of minutes is that we begin by talking about Austin Cindrich winning at Talladega yesterday.
Yes.
And for some reason, it morphs into, and it's my fault, I brought up John Cohen.
Yeah.
Into smoothies.
Really, Red Roof Inn is all you needed to say.
Yeah,
that's all you needed to say.
So anyway,
there's certain statements that are made that just automatically open up doors.
You ever seen those guys who go fishing? And I mean, when I'm fishing, I'm paying attention. But there are guys who'll put their cane pole or whatever, they'll put it in a little holder, and they'll sit back there, crack open a Bud Light, and just talk about life and everything. And all of a sudden they see their bobber go down. Something. There's a lot of people out there, we'll talk sports and we'll entertain and we'll have some fairly incisive comments, but then all of a sudden Red Roof Inn, La Quinta, and John's like, there goes that, the little fight, here goes, man, I went one place after we were at the remote on Friday at Stivers and got a smoothie.
Oh, yeah.
There goes the bobber, and John's like, hey, I got a bite. Hang on. I'll talk. Yeah. Hold my beer.
I don't go to Tropical Smoothie Cafe very much. I can't remember the last time I went.
I went last week, actually. Yeah.
One thing I did notice, those are very labor intensive to make. There's a lot that goes into that. I mean, it's not like they're just pushing a soft serve machine and filling up the cup. They're actually putting the ingredients in there, measuring it, sticking it in the blender, letting it spin for about a minute. I'm thinking, man, this sure does take a long time.
Now,
and then they charge you for it. I'm thinking, now I get it. That's
labor.
Where all the cost is. It's labor.
Well, have you been to a Starbucks? I have never been a coffee drinker. I've tried. I think the amount of coffee that I have drank in my life would probably fit into a red Dixie cup. But John is a coffee guy. John is not a frou-frou coffee guy.
I do not like Starbucks coffee.
But
you
like go in there, and I mean, it is like they are constructing Mount Rushmore. A little here, no. I'm thinking,
yeah,
it's coffee.
And then the people sitting in there on their laptops, I'm thinking, earth shoes, rag wool sweaters.
That's exactly right.
I'm thinking,
smell of patchouli.
Yeah, what is with you people? Okay. Yeah, Alan Green. Thanks, Theotis. Forgot about him. Yeah, he was.
Well, can we stop it with the hey, Alan Green? Smoothies. Red Roof. I mean, you got $100 million athletic department. They're worried about a $4 smoothie. I wonder who else is worried about it. Evidently, a whole lot of fans of another athletic department.
Okay, Gurn. Let's get
here we go. All right,
let's get the Victoryland 777 topic wheel up and loaded up. Victoryland exit 22 off I-85, shorter Alabama,
where you can be a winner too.
Yes, you can. Ooh, all right. Let's see. All right, let's spin the wheel. Since Troy is written in bigger letters, is the wheel top heavy? Is it top heavy? Well, I guess it isn't. Making history. What could this be about?
Oh, goodness.
History. Let's
ready
see what we
to
got.
Go. J.J. Redick just made the type of history that no NBA coach wants to make.
What could
J.J. Redick, head coach of the L.A. Lakers.
What happened here? Something about
they lose in Game 4 to the Timberwolves. He did this. He played. They were trailing 2-1 in their series, facing a probably insurmountable 3-1 deficit. Which Redick made the decision he was either going to sink or swim with the guys who got him to this point. So he played his starters, LeBron, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, for the entire final 24 minutes of game time, which is the entire second half.
Yep.
They played every second of the entire second half, and they lose 116-113. Redick became the first coach ever in the playoffs in NBA history to play just 5 players for an entire half. 4 of them starters. One of them was not. One of them was Dorian Finney-Smith, who was not a starter, but he played the entire second half. Never have done that before.
Well, Barry,
anywhere.
The good news for the Lakers, they got a long rest period. They don't play again till Wednesday night, but they're down 3-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. What is the NBA going to do if the Lakers are not in the playoffs, playing for the world title on the 4th of July?
I have encouragement because, as John and I pointed out either last week or the week before, the early ratings, and again, we're still in round 1 in the first round of the NBA playoffs after the play-in. The early ratings have been really good. Yep. And it's not just because of the Lakers and the Celtics and the big market teams. It's because people are kind of liking the Cavaliers and Oklahoma City and the small market teams who are not only the best teams in the league, but the best teams in the league by a lot. So I think it'll be fine. Yeah. I may end up, I like the Lakers fine, but not having LeBron in, they'll take a little bit of a hit, but not as much as you would think.
Well, it's interesting. They're down 3-1, but they're a 5.5-point favorite Wednesday night. That could move between now and then. That's an early posting for that game. I could see the Lakers extending this to.
I can too. And I know the NBA office wants that.
Yeah. All right. Good one there, Gurn. Let's put it up there again and spin it yet again, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland. Exit 22 off I-85 in Short, Alabama. There you go. It's Troy.
Yep.
Of course, big weekend of athletics down at Troy. What's going on? What happened and what's going on?
Well, both the Troy baseball and the softball teams won their series as we're coming down the stretch. Troy softball goes to Georgia State, wins 2 out of 3. It's their final series on the road of the regular season. We're getting to that point of the year. Troy baseball wins their series at home against Texas State 2-1. Troy now in third place, though, in the Sun Belt standings. Saturday night, the Troy Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's the second time last week I had to put the tux on. Looked pretty good. I was the MC of the event again for another year. Got to put the tux on tonight. It's Trojan Tribute, which is put on by Troy student athletes and the Student Athletic Advisory Committee. And I get to be the MC of that, where they give out awards for the best team GPA in the different sports and a whole lot of different stuff as well. Back at home this Tuesday, tomorrow night, Troy baseball against Jacksonville State at 6 o'clock. Get your tickets at TroyTrojans.com. Also, tomorrow we are 1 week away from the final non-conference home game, which is a week from tomorrow, against the Alabama Crimson Tide in Troy. Those tickets, as you can imagine, are going fast. If you haven't gotten yours for that one yet, as the Tide comes in on a week from tomorrow, it's TroyTrojans.com/tickets.
I always wondered, why do they play baseball, but they don't play football and basketball?
They played basketball before, but it's been a long time. Football, I don't know.
I know why, but,
They do this. I think Auburn baseball plays at Samford tomorrow night, but Auburn baseball doesn't play at Troy anymore. There was a little bit of a disagreement earlier. Alabama will play. I say Auburn plays at Samford. Correction. Auburn plays Samford. It's Samford's home game, but it's going to be at the Hoover Met. It isn't going to be at Joe Lee Griffin Field and on the Samford campus. Troy plays Alabama. They lost by a run up in Tuscaloosa back early in the year. They come to Troy a week from Tuesday, but we'll talk about that more later on.
Perfect.
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break and we'll come back with the wheel. Yep,
the topic wheel is rolling. It's next on Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
All right, back at it here on a Monday. Longshore McKnight, presented by our good friends at Yellowhammer News, yellowhammernews.com. And, of course, Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Our Victoryland 777 topic wheel, I see it there ready to go. Let's spin it again. See if we can get through every topic between now and the top of the hour. Ooh, this could be good.
Okay. You have now officially, not like you didn't before, have John's attention.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Another hockey. See, look. Oh, look at that. Oh, the ref's in there.
Woo! Bring it.
Oh, see, the refs made a mistake here, Bear. There's another fight going on, but there's not enough refs to break it up.
And there are
you can blow that whistle all you want. Not going to help.
Yeah.
So, Bear, do they still have the penalty box in hockey?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay, all right.
Uh-huh. Tom Wilson is a left wing for the Washington Capitals.
There's a lot of left wings up there, I hear.
Yeah, in Washington, Tuberville says there's too many. Anyway, during the Capitals' loss, and Wilson on the sidelines was caught on camera with all the stuff going on, making the move like crying like a baby and all that kind of stuff.
Now, Barry, I hope
Tom
they
says
don't
afterwards, he
outlaw
says,
that.
I guess I should probably just shut up sometimes.
No.
But like I said,
What?
emotions get high.
All right, so wait a minute. I don't want to read later that the NHL has outlawed the crybaby.
Yeah.
It's signifying like the NFL outlawed the throat slash. I mean, what's wrong with that? I don't have a problem with the throat slash.
Have you ever seen or been there? I ask because normally they do it outside of 5 minutes from the start of a football game. And John is never there in the stadium outside of 5 minutes to go before a football game. But they do this where the public address announcer says, for instance, the Southeastern Conference stands by ideals of fairness, civility, and sportsmanship. Any offensive language or gestures will be subject to immediate removal and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, does that mean like the fans can't go? John, and
or downward horns. You're not supposed to do that, I guess.
And can you get thrown out of a game for that if you're a fan, thrown out of the place like that? You never really know what the dividing line is for that stuff. Well, what is offensive? Saying you suck? That's not offensive. That's true. Yeah. Nobody ever pays attention to that.
No,
John.
they don't.
I mean, I haven't ever seen racist language or anything, not lately. But nobody pays attention to that. All the fans are like, yeah, right.
Yeah, that's like the school teacher and Charlie Brown. They're not hearing that. Not listening.
Yeah. And crybaby from one player to another.
Yeah,
I think has some visual values for the NHL.
Yeah, I don't understand why if you've intercepted a pass and you're running it back for a pick six, you get to the 10. Why can't you turn around and point to the quarterback?
That's unsportsmanlike.
I mean, give me some of
and
that.
that also subjects you to karma because sure enough, as soon as you do that, in a fair and just world, which we do not live in, next series, when they get the ball back, he's throwing a touchdown over you in single coverage at the 5-yard line.
Possibly.
And then all of a sudden you look like an idiot.
No. That's when you hit the ground and pop up with the old hamstring act.
Yeah.
You can't act
turn to the referee and say,
you can't act like you got burned. You got to act like you pulled a hammy.
Man, if I hadn't have twinged my hamstring, which had been giving me problems, I'd have been all over that pass.
See, if I was ever good enough to play Major League Baseball, I'm hitting a home run. I'm letting the pitcher know it.
You talk about bat flip. John's bat flipping, both hands up in the air,
taking my time.
Yeah, doing the double flaps down, going around the bases.
Is there a time limit for how fast you got to run those bases?
Yeah, looking into the opposing team's dugout.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you got to add a little spice to the game.
A little.
Gurn, let's spin it again. Let's see what else we got here. That was a good one. Any fight video?
I know I want this one. Prank call, yes. That is the one I wanted. Did you hear about this? Oh, my gosh. Falcons defensive coordinator, I'm all over this one. Falcons defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbricht. He's pretty good. He does a good job. His son is 21 years old. His son's name is Jax Ulbricht. Get this, John. During the NFL draft last weekend, Jax Ulbricht was visiting mom and dad, 21 years old, at the house, bebopping through the kitchen with some snacks, and he looks on the table. There is an open iPad from his dad, and among other things, as he's looking on it, eating his sweet heat pork rinds, hey, there's a cell phone number for Shedeur Sanders.
Ooh.
So he writes down the number, John.
Yeah.
That's evidently a special, not his regular number. It's a special draft phone. So he calls him, Jax Ulbrich, the son, calls him up and pranked him at the time. Said, I don't know what he said, and they really haven't released what he said.
I can't believe the NFL's real happy with that.
But Sanders was called on his draft phone by someone claiming to be New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. Is he still there?
Yeah, unfortunately,
shortly before
yes.
the team number 40 pick, Jax Ulbrich was the non-caller. Somebody else did. And they prank called Shador to make him think that he was going to go to the Saints.
Ooh.
Anyway, found out about it, traced the number. They pick up your number, right? I mean, the phone picks up your number. They traced it to a friend of Jax Ulbrich.
Name of the Saints. How you doing? Good. How are you, man?
What in the Mick love?
Yeah, I got to think this kid is, he's in some trouble.
In the world, you record it. You record yourself doing that on video and make it. Anyway, there were several draft day prank calls. Colts rookie Tyler Warren was among those. It's not sure whether Jax Ulbrich was involved in that, but what an idiot to do. Anyway, so his dad apologized. The Falcons organization had to apologize to Shador. The NFL issued a statement on it, and the kid had to call Shador Sanders. Surprisingly enough, Shador didn't take the call.
Yeah.
So he left a voicemail and said, I hope you can forgive me.
I don't blame him.
Unbelievable.
Gurn, keep those two topics for tomorrow. We'll add those to the list on the topic wheel as it grows each and every day. Always good stuff there on the wheel here on a Monday. Hey, I want to thank our man Josh Harris, the Moneyline magician, for joining us today on the program. Always some great insights from Josh. Of course, Barry, tomorrow, our man Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, Travis Ryer on YouTube, talking Tide. Looking forward to seeing what Travis has to say about the Jags and their draft.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, lots to get to tomorrow. Our appreciation as well for our producer, Gurn Jr. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.